Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ebony Monet, or Monet the Creator, and today's topic is going to be about surviving your first year or your G1 year of grad school. So first and foremost, money, the most exciting part, and specifically taxes and budgeting. So one thing that is not exactly the most fair thing, but is something that happens if you're a US citizen, is our stipend income from our programs is taxable. Except, and you know, it varies by program, except the taxes are not taken out prior to you receiving your check. So you receive your check and you need to put money to the side each month to try to make sure you're able to pay your taxes come April, whenever taxes are due. And honestly, so me as a Floridian, like, we only have federal taxes. Like, moving up to Massachusetts, they have state and federal taxes. Like, there's not a lot of clarity in how you do it. They can't necessarily give you tax advice. At least your university can't give you tax advice, but they can kind of help you out with it. I know last year, well, this year, I ended up going to H&R Block, and that was also because I had like a lot of different W-2s from a lot of different places. And it just gets up there. I know I paid, I'm pretty sure I paid over $4,000 in taxes, and that was only me working half of the year in Boston. And then of course, like, some things changed with my W-2s from different states and all that kind of stuff. But on top of taxes, and very related to taxes, is budgeting. So I am like straight out of undergrad, straight into grad school. So maybe other people have different systems already worked out because they had that additional time after school to work it out. But having a budget in grad school is so important. And the main reason why is because, at least my program, we're only paid once a month. So you get your entire stipend at the beginning of the month. You have to take out your taxes, take out any other expenses that like you just might have going on. And you need to keep track of that money because you're not getting paid until the next month on the 1st. So that is definitely, taxes and budgeting are two things that are extremely important for you to keep track of and be prepared for when starting graduate school. If you all will be interested, I can also make a short video about how I manage my budget and my taxes and things like that a little bit later. So next point I have is housing. So with housing, and of course it's gonna depend on the city, it's gonna depend on the state, but look early and be on top of it. So as soon as you know what school that you're deciding to go to, start looking at what your commute is going to look like. Like, that is extremely important because your commuting time like impacts your day significantly, I promise you. But definitely, like, look into housing, look on like all those housing websites, so like Zillow, Apartments. Look, maybe your university has a specific housing website. Maybe they have like residencies that aren't exactly university housing, but you can apply to it through the university. It really just depends on the program and the university, but definitely like get on top of it. If you are looking for roommates or you're looking for an apartment to share with other people, another option is to find those roommates. And specifically, I would recommend going on Facebook and putting some form of the graduate school's name or the city's name. So like Harvard University roommate search, or Boston roommate search, Boston graduate student research, or graduate student roommate search. Like, just look those things up on Facebook and you're gonna find some type of group. And honestly, people are gonna be posting those things consistently because it's not only graduate students, but there might just be people that are coming to the area short term. I mean, I live in a very academically inclined area, so there's always people coming in and out. So that is a great resource that I have found, is using those Facebook groups and trying to communicate with people on Messenger, getting to know them, seeing what preferences they have before I chose my final roommates for the year. And this also goes hand in hand with making your budget sheet, or just being aware of that beforehand. So if you are, I'll give my figure from last year. So I made like $3,600 a month approximately. Definitely start thinking like, okay, if my rent is $1,200, if my rent is $16, if I have the studio and it's $19, like, how much money do I need to put towards rent, and how much money would I be able to use on food if I have a car. Maybe you have like parking expenses or like actual car expenses, like paying the car off. Just think about what kinds of expenses you may have and run into, because all those things really do help you make a decision as to how to go about like what housing to do, how many roommates to find, and all those kinds of things. I think this is one of the most important points, but find people in your corner. And what do I mean by that? So this could look like friends that are in your program. This could look like just classmates or lab mates. This could look like mentors that you've run into. So a couple of examples that I have. So I have my 2 best girlfriends. I love them to death. Without them, I honestly don't know how I'd be getting through this program, but we're able to talk, laugh, and just enjoy time together. And that's something that like you're going to need as a full-time student. Scientists and mentors. So during my first 2 rotations, I was mentored by postdocs in each one. And I really just enjoyed the relationship that I built with those people. And I would say that they are people in my corner because I'm still able to reach out to them. I sent them personal statements, science statements, different things that I've submitted for grants for their feedback and their insight. They are extremely smart people. They are extremely helpful. And I definitely recommend, like, as you're going through your rotations, which will be another point, definitely like figure out what relationships you really want to keep and hang on to them, because having those people in your corner really helps you with grant writing and a lot of other things down the line. And then lastly, like your lab mates or other graduate students in your program. So like my lab mates, I really love my lab a lot, but like everyone in my lab is like able to smile, laugh, joke around, but also like really get down to the nitty-gritty science. So that is something that I extremely appreciate. Not every lab dynamic is like that, but having lab mates that support you and are able to give you good feedback is crucial, because if you don't have that, then you won't be able to really evolve as a scientist. And whenever it comes time to do like your qualifying exams or different defenses or presentations, you won't have reliable people to give you feedback on things before you actually do it. My next tip, and this tip is also going to be in another video because it deserves its own video, is picking your rotation / picking a lab. So just some quick notes that I want to share now before that video, and then we'll circle back to some of those ideas then. Picking your lab is, if not the most critical decision, one of the most critical decisions that you have to make during graduate school. And it's really because your lab that you're going to be researching in, like you're going to be in there for 4 to 5 years, however many years, and you really are gonna have to get along with the people in your lab. People are gonna leave, new people are gonna come, and it's extremely important to just choose the best mentor that you can, choose the best lab that you can, and also remember that like the personnel in the lab, although they might be great, they might be transitioning out. They may just be there for another year because they're an RA or a research assistant. So it really just matters, or it really just depends on the lab status and a lot of things. Even if the PI has tenure or not, that's a very important fact. And tenure is basically like a form of permanent employment. Let me just say that that's like a quick summary of that. One recommendation that I would have for picking a lab is to just try doing something really different outside of your comfort zone, but you're interested in. And I'll touch on that, like I said, in the other video some more, but that for me definitely made me learn new like microscope techniques. It helped me learn how to do mouse work. It just helped me get more interest in things that I didn't expect to have interest in before. But I do highly recommend doing that. This is also a chance to like dip your toe into something without completely diving in. So if you're interested in something but you're not quite sure if you like the research or what kinds of tasks you do on the daily, or maybe how much computational work might be involved that you might not know about, all of those things are good to figure out through that rotation, or just kind of doing that taste test rotation, if you will. So like I mentioned in the video for applying to grad school, like definitely remember your interests. So yes, it's great to try something new, but remember what things like really make you excited and really make you passionate for grad school. I know for me, I was really interested in getting into developmental biology. I have a neuroscience background by training, and I just found myself really interested in development during my senior year. And as I was going and choosing my rotations, I was very intentional about that. I kept in mind like, okay, I'm really interested in developmental biology. I still like neuroscience, and I also really like cell biology. So what lab allows me, or what rotation labs allow me to kind of taste test some different things, or maybe do something that's a little bit outside of my exact research area, but still relevant. But another thing that you could do, and this is a note that I'll put in the other video as well, is like doing a rotation to get to know the mentor and have the mentor once again on your team, in your corner, because you could always come back to them for recommendations or for just help in general. But like I mentioned, a lot of these things about picking a lab and picking rotations will be in another video. So classes, in my opinion, were pretty challenging but very informative, and that could be easily the way that my program structures like our academics in our classes. But like my first semester, I took genetics in this class called BCMP, and I just call this class the central dogma class because it just goes from DNA to protein. And even though genetics was like extremely challenging, and I ended up getting a tutor, which I'll touch on in just a minute, like I found BCMP so helpful because there were so many different experiments and things that we talked about that kind of illustrated how we got the DNA to protein situation worked out, but then also like what kinds of experiments I might need in my lab, or what things I might want to take advantage of in order to use those tools to figure out other things whenever I finally join a lab. A lot of classes for grad school are paper reading based, and I think that at first I was very intimidated by this, but I definitely got used to it. And like I said with BCMP, like being able to read papers and see kind of the steps that were taken, sometimes that helps even more than just being told like, oh, this is a method, this is how you do it, because you get more understanding on how they got there and the rationale and how they thought about like answering this specific question. And a lot of the ways they structure these classes is they make it some form of journal club, so you might end up presenting at some point in time or something along those lines. And then lastly, like find a tutor if you need it, and don't feel bad if you need a tutor. Like I said, I got a tutor for genetics, which was very, very helpful. Like she helped me understand things that like maybe we just didn't have enough time in class to really talk about it, right? You should be able to contact someone through your program, like office administration, in order to find tutoring if you need that. Or that might be something that you listen out for during interviews to see like, are those resources available for you if you need them? So my last tip that I have is honestly just be yourself. You want to attract the people and opportunities and science and mentors and all those things that are going to be relevant to you, relevant to what you want to do in the future, and provide you the best training for your PhD. You're going to be in the program for 5 to 6 years, and that is a good amount of time to have to be in school. So like definitely be yourself, because you don't want to have to always put up an act, if you will, and then whenever down the line, like year 3, year 4, like you start like just being different or just feeling uncomfortable. Maybe you didn't make the right decisions as far as like what people you decided to have in your corner. Like all those things are extremely impactful, and like there's tons of stories of people who have not been able to finish grad school just because of something like that. So my last rapid fire tips that I have, don't compare yourself to other people. Like, please do not. All of us are here to train. We're all here to learn. And comparing yourself to someone else really just puts another weight on your shoulders. It really just makes it more difficult, because at the end of the day, we all come from different institutions. We all have some different science backgrounds. Some of us took gap years. Some of us went into industry for a few years. Like, it really just depends. And you cannot be caught up in comparing yourself to someone else. I think what's more important to realize is the fact that you're even there at your program in the first place, because these graduate programs have to sift through a lot of applicants to pick the right people to be a part of their program. Remember your other support systems as well. So yes, we're gonna have like the people in our corner that are like in our labs, in adjacent labs, whatever the case may be, but you also want to make sure like you stay in touch with your family or your significant others, or maybe your friends from undergrad, whatever the case may be, because all those things are really, at least I find them to be grounding and really like, okay, like I'm doing this thing, I'm doing it well. Like I feel like that really helps me calm down and recenter myself for sure. And just like I said in the last video, like listen to your intuition. And this is really going to be integral when I talk about the rotation labs video, or when I share my experience from the rotations. But like listening to your intuition and what things you really want, what things you might have noticed like, this is a bit off, or why would someone say like this specific phrase to me? This is like a very strange detail. Like all of the things that happen, I believe happen for a reason. So remember to listen to your intuition and trust yourself, because you know better than anybody else what things you really want from your PhD. So I wanted to say thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope that you found this informative. Please feel free to ask any questions that you might have about surviving your G1 year. I'm sure that there are tips that I missed. Share your own tips down in the comment section. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate you if you've gotten to this far in the video, and I will catch you next time. This has been Monet the Creator. Bye!